This one might just end up being really entertaining as everybody gets to watch me die.
So you're going to go try to claim a base as a warlord so you can show what some warlord stuff can do. But
Yes.
in the meantime, you might just be dying.
I might. I might. This is
Awesome.
yes. So we'll see where it goes because we're just going from standard to lethal. No big deal. No big deal. Okay. Okay, we need to go. He's checked into the infirmary. That's great. Okay, so our other character. Speaking of people who have their name in the game, here we go.
There's Zuzzle, yeah.
Here's Zuzzle. All right, so we're gonna clean up that, and we're gonna take some scent block because I really don't want to get anybody killed, and we're gonna take some plague cure. We don't have any bombs, but I'm gonna take a couple of Willy Pete grenades, and we'll take a couple of bloater cloud grenades and a few Molotovs, and just in case, first aid kit. Okay. Where are we at?
I do not want to let that screamer bring friends.
So while you are on the way, I've been collecting a few questions from the audience about like future features they wish that we would add, some of which I think we could probably say something intelligent about. Do you want me to go through some of these?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, so Prox Macintosh wants to know, is there a plan to remove the soft cap for population? So were you going to say something, Joe?
Yeah. So Randy, who is the now the lead designer on State of Decay 2, and we have talked about that a lot and how much of a pain in the butt it is. So the answer is we want to change it, but it seems like such a small thing, like you just change that one little number. But there are so many missions that are tied to that one little number that it would not be a small change, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, like part of the problem is when we set that number up, we didn't set it up like there's an automatic like the game just knows what the soft cap is, and any mission can just check the soft cap and see if you've got the right number of people. Instead, we got missions manually checking the number 9 or whatever. Like they're checking the number, and you would have to go through, and it's not just missions, there's like other features as well. There's like lots of parts of the game that assume that those numbers are staying the same. And so if we just change the number, a bunch of stuff would probably break. So it would be an elaborate process to find all the places to make those changes and make them. But I love that your team is talking about it because, yeah, I agree. It is one of the most weird and annoying parts of the game.
I can barely swing this thing.
No touching. No touching. No touching.
Fire in the hole.
So, yeah. And then Sir Aku wanted to know if we've ever thought about adding hunger and thirst meters to the game.
It's hurting.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing we're talking about right now.
Yeah, it's tough because this game it's trying to be a lot of things to a lot of people already, and so one of the challenges we always have is when we're designing systems for State of Decay 2. There are certain systems that like different players really love different parts of the game, and if we take any one part of the game and make it too complex, all the players for whom that is not their favorite system get driven away by it, even while there's players for whom that is their favorite system are entertained by it. And so it's this giant balancing act with this very broad audience of people who love our game for different reasons, trying to make sure we don't lean so hard into something that one narrow sliver of players loves, that we end up alienating a bunch of other players. So hunger and thirst meters are probably on that list of like people who are like hardcore survival game players who like this game for the sense of of it being a survival game. A lot of folks in that category would absolutely love to have hunger and thirst meters to worry about. People who play Fallout New Vegas in hardcore mode and stuff like that. Brian Menard, I'm looking at you, would love to have those kinds of mechanics brought into the game. But there are a lot of people who would not. And so it would probably that kind of feature would have a fairly narrow audience and could potentially actually be harmful to the experience for other people. And so it would be a thing we would have to consider very, very carefully and judiciously if we decided we wanted something like that. It's the kind of thing that might make sense in another game rather than adding it to a game that has already got an established audience that expects certain things.
And there are a lot of times, a lot of questions that come out of people about like, well, why are we making this choice? And the answer is like, unlike other survival games, you're playing a community of people, and I don't know of a lot of I know a lot of games that include those hunger and thirst meters. Like you've got like one character that you're controlling,
That's a
and
really
that's
good point.
and that's it's a very different feeling. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to like balance the needs of your community at the same time.
Could actually move in here if we wanted.
Yeah, I've got scent block on. It's cheese mode. Okay. But I've got a point that I need to make. Okay, gosh, which is we need to. Okay, do I have enough to make a war? Do I have enough? I do. Okay, so we'll build an armory. I don't have enough people after that though.
Got another
Great.
tree. Wonderful.
Okay, so we'll come out here, and then we'll do this, and we'll drop that in there. We'll drop that in there, and we'll keep all the other things just in case. But the idea is that like a lot of those things that work in single player games won't necessarily work in a game like this. They don't necessarily not work in a game like this, but you know it's definitely a different feeling than if you're you mentioned Fallout. You're playing like one character in Fallout. So I mean,
Yeah, that's true. So you do have to worry about hunger for your entire community. You've got your, how much food your people are eating per day, how much food you have in your stockpile, what your food income is. You do have that concern in State of Decay 2, but you're worrying about it on the community level. You're not worrying about it on the individual level. And if we made you worry about it on the individual level, worrying about that for 12 people
Right.
could be just a nightmare. And
Yes.
not really the kind of thing you want to spend your brain space on,
Yeah. Okay,
Oh,
let's
hey.
do that.
We've had several players asking about if you can send people to the Legacy Pool in Update 30, if you can send people to the Legacy Pool if they have never been to the Legacy Pool. Is it only sending back your existing Legacy characters, or can you send someone who you just barely recruited?
You can send anyone. Literally anyone.
So somebody could actually have like stats as far as what their victories and things are, on that Legacy Pool of 0 because they've literally never done anything to get recruited.
Yeah, and there are also some other warnings, like you got to I would post out there for people who are too used to it. Like, make sure you're reading everything when the new update comes out and you complete any kind of stuff, anything. Like, make sure that you are very clear about how it works. There are 3 panels that explain it, but if you're not careful, you could end up like losing a bunch of stuff and some beloved characters because of some choices that we had to make in order to avoid some really nasty bugs.
Well, do you have a particular one in mind that the audience would want to know about?
Yeah. So at the end, when you've completed the legacy, you have sort of like the screen where you put them into the pool, and you need to put them into the pool. Like, you have to actively put people into the pool, regardless. But especially once you've completed it, you have to actively put them into your pool. They don't automatically go like they used to. And so they could easily just end up getting deleted.
That is really good to know. Yes.
If you're not paying attention, right? And I don't know about y'all, but I'm the kind of gamer that doesn't pay attention a lot of times. And then
Same.
I find out that like, oh, oopsie, I just deleted my favorite person.
Yeah, let's definitely let everyone keep that in mind. That's I didn't know about that, so I'm glad you told me. Honestly, this stream is probably how I was going to find out about that, so I really appreciate it as a player.
Yeah, no. So anyway, it's definitely not something that we wanted to do necessarily, but it's the better flow, and it helped us stay away from some major problems.
Another question about Update 30. Let's see, who was it? I think Wizard491 wants to know if the infestation spread rate is going to be the same in Update 30 as it has been in the PTR, or is that specifically tied to Update 31 and that will not be coming across?
The rate in 30, it may be close to what's in the... I don't think that it's going to be. It's probably closer to what's on live. But I don't know about y'all, but basically kind of the way that I approach it is, at least on live, not necessarily in the PTR, is I don't have to pay attention to anything. Like, I don't have to pay attention or engage with the infestations at all because, like, oh, look, it's morale problems. Yay. But there's, I play on lethal. I've got morale problems always. So, like, it's not a huge thing that you need to, like, go into. But yeah, on the beta, no, I don't think we're going to be seeing. You shouldn't be seeing any of this same stuff that you see here, like the telling you where the hordes are going or anything like that. That should not make it out into live. In fact, even this stuff that you're seeing here in PTR isn't necessarily like what you'll be getting.
The pips showing the growth of the infestations and that kind of thing. That's
right.
That's still tied to update 31.
Yes, that's all still tied to 31, and we will be putting that stuff into PTR as soon as we can, like the alterations that we're making to it, so that people can see what it looks like in actual real time.
Do you have time for one more question from the audience, or is your armory ready?
No, my armory is still building. It's just now that I have a mission for building it, so we're all good.
All right, cool. Gameplay to Republica wants to know. So we've had a feature from very early on post-release where if you had legacy characters in your community and you delete the save of that community, the legacy characters were automatically kept and put back in the legacy pool. Do you know if that has survived through Update 30? Because we're making a bunch of other changes to the way the legacy pool operates. Will deleting a community still keep your legacy characters?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. I know that we had gone through some of the design meetings for that, and I was like, that we can't change this. Like, this is a thing that we need to keep because I really don't want to see a bajillion emails from angry customers, because that's what we're going to get. And so essentially yes, to the best of my knowledge, if I end up not being correct, then please send in reports to support.stateofdecay.com and let me know, because the last I checked, okay, so Captain Jardin's one of our QA testers, and since I moved over to design, like, it's funny that I don't know as much about the game as I used to. As just a customer.
It's weird for me. It's weird for me to be asking you stuff about State of Decay 2 and you know the answers and I have no idea. That's really moving around in the studio can mess with you.
But no, so yeah, that's how it works. You can delete them, and when he says don't overuse it, what that basically means is don't delete all 5 communities after completing a legacy and having a full pool, and be careful with how far over the limit you are, because it could get really messy when you have to sort all of that fun stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. Because that screen, one of the reasons why we have that legacy screen for choosing the people to put in your legacy pool is so that we can manage the limit on the legacy pool. Because if you'll remember, when the game first shipped, there was no limit on the legacy pool. There was also no screen to manage it, which was very inconvenient. But people could overfill the legacy pool, and their cloud saves would literally stop working because they had too many characters in their legacy pool.
Yeah, and I think that number was somewhere around 130 at the time.
Yeah, so we reduced the limit down to 50, from infinity to 50. And that's great and all, but that means that now we have to manage that limit. And so because there isn't when you delete a community, there isn't a screen that pops up that lets you manage your relationship to the limit. Whoa, you're doing some nice dodging there that I'm seeing delayed. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by how you're playing. Okay, anyway, because you don't that means that we basically just start dumping extra people into the pool, and you can get yourself into a bad situation with too many extra characters in your pool. So yeah,
oh, no.
like Capri was saying, use that very cautiously.
No. Sorry, I'm distracted.
So yeah, Prox Macintosh, if it doesn't work that way, then if you find that it doesn't work that way, that's unintentional, it's a bug, please definitely report it to us.
Okay, now, yeah, so definitely it should be just, you get to keep your legacy. Oh, look, we can cheat. Come here. Let's see if we can get that bloater to come over here and explode on me. Okay, let's do it. Okay. Yikes.
Your tactics are a mystery to me.
Well, see, if the bloater comes over here, and if he'd made it over there in time, instead of being over there, he explodes next to the heart.
Oh, right. You can just use a simple Molotov.
No, he just kills it. Bloater gas apparently can kill plague hearts.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you had to at least ignite it.
Depends on the bloater gas, but
If
apparently
it's from the grenade, you have to ignite it. But if it's from an actual bloater, it just
yeah.
kills.
So like yeah, if you're in there and then like the bloater gas from a bloater like that will actually just explode it.
I am mystified that you're able to carry on this conversation with me while fighting one of these things. I don't play on lethal, most importantly because I can't handle the existence of these ferals. Just they terrify me, and you're just handling it.
Well, I am on the verge of getting really, really sick. Oh, there we go. There we go.
So
There we go.
I'm on a delay, so I
Oh no!
I could sit here.
No. Okay.
I could sit here and talk about how great you're doing while you're getting literally murdered, and yeah.
That's all right. I like doing well and fighting. Here we go. What? No, stop that. Stop that. Okay, we're gonna use bloater gas grenade. We're gonna use it for the what it was intended for. Right, because that's what it was intended for, right? Like it was to blow up plague hearts, just like that.
Sure. Of course it was. Of course it was.
Okay.
Actually, I'm more comfortable with it being intended for that than its actual intent, which is murdering humans in the most ghastly way you can possibly imagine.
Right? I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know how happy I am about our decision there. I mean, it was one of those things where it's like it's mechanically obvious.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. Mechanically, it makes sense, but since it's ignitable, it's a really great way to just get ahead in the world.
So we are running out of time. So I'm wondering, like if your armory is ready, maybe we can go through just a really quick summary of what it can do, and then.
Oh yeah. Oh, Warlord fans, I have done you a favor. So here we go. We'll only get to talk about this one because I was killing way too much time. All right. So for those of you who knew what the thing did before, you could actively do the improved gun accuracy. You could craft all of the wonderful rounds in here. You could craft these wonderful professional things. What you couldn't do is you couldn't repair weapons, which didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. You got an armory, right? Like, what's the point of having an armory if it doesn't take care of your weapons? So now you can repair and do all kinds of things in your armory, right?
So does that mean you don't need a workshop to do those things anymore?
Correct. And
so you could actually strip out your workshop and just depend on your armory, depending on what you were using that workshop for. Oh, can you make all of the explosives too?
You can make all of it. So there was no reason systematically that you shouldn't be able to craft all of them. So you weren't able. The only things that you could craft in here were, I think, napalm, frag grenades, and the landmines before. So we've gone ahead and I went ahead and put everything in here.
Wow.
So that you can literally. The only reason you would ever need a workshop, and I think it was Macintosh that called it out, Prox Macintosh that called it out.
Yeah.
The only reason you would need a workshop is so that you can build or craft toolkits. So, if you don't want to craft them that way, then you can still, of course, you can also build the auto shop and build them that way because you got that bulk crafting thing that makes it basically 66% of the cost that it would normally be. So the idea behind what the Warlord changes are, and there's also a change for the this thing, the fighting gem. So at level 1, it only does what it always did, which is give you 20 health. But when you pump it up there, it gives you the same injury chance reduction as a level 3, at least I think it's level 3 infirmary would if you used the primary care action.
Cool.
So, oh yes, and also Prox, thank you for calling that out. I forgot. There's also a morale boost. I forgot. I think I put a morale boost on it because I gave it sort of showers. I noticed that there was I went messing about, and I certainly found out that showers as a morale boost were great. Now you'll for those of you who play Warlord a lot, you know that you've got the barracks that gives you like -5 morale or whatever. And so having water in your base as a warlord then gives you hot showers, which counterbalances the negative of having the Spartan barracks. So
Oh, that works. I like that solution. So that if you're only going part way with the warlord, then you could have a negative, but it eventually, if you get everything, it all kind of balances out. That's kind of cool.
yeah,
It's like the warlord's got a plan.
yeah. So anyway, like I said, I put a lot of thought into those changes. Why are the showers a warlord and not a builder bonus? The showers are on the warlord because they've got the gym. They build the gym, and everybody who goes to the gym needs a shower. So yeah. Anyway,
Warlords stink more, so they need showers more. That's how it
yeah.
works.
Because it's more about the way that I've always interpreted the warlord is that it's always more about like how physically strong your characters are, and how prepared you are to fight, rather than just being like I'm always ready to fight, right? So kind of went with that a little bit. There's now there's injury prevention because those people who exercise a lot, they tend to not get injured as much. I don't know what that's called, but it's an actual thing. So it tried to base it more in reality and give some buffs to the warlord.
Well, before we have to go, one of the most common questions that I just keep seeing in the chat, some of them from one person who's asking the question again and again, is are we going to add a way to another way to get prestige or other ways to use prestige in the game? And unless something has changed, I believe that we've had some thoughts along those lines internally. And basically there's a lot of different ideas that are sort of coming out there, and the problem is we don't want to haphazardly just do one idea here, one idea there, because prestige is such a powerful thing. If we don't think it all the way through and have a really comprehensive approach to how prestige is used in the game, it's just going to create more places where there are grind sinks and things like that. And so we're going to be very, very cautious about it. So we appreciate all of the input and the ideas that people are throwing out there, and we're taking all of that in. Ultimately, if we do end up addressing prestige, we'll do it in a very careful and well thought through way that tries to not create a new grind sink like Daybreak for the game.
Exactly.
Is the last thing I heard about it. But Joe, if you know anything more, feel free to augment what I'm saying, since I'm not on the team anymore.
We're talking about things that have been on my list for a long time now. Geoffrey can attest to the fact that I have long been a advocate for finding other ways than Daybreak to not only get prestige but also to unlock items.
Yeah,
but
we both have.
It's very much it, but again, it is very much just an in progress thing that we are talking about as a team. And if we can pull it off, we will. If we can't, then we won't. And I apologize that we didn't get that done for you. But at the same time, it's just not something that we could get done. There were bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. And there's always going to be stuff like that. I mean, I'm really looking forward as a player to Update 30 coming out. And for those of you who joined us late, by the way, we did originally think it might have come out by now when we said early August. We did find a few extra bugs in it that we weren't anticipating. But the last time we talked about it, we did say very specifically, if we find bugs, we will delay the release because we really want to make sure this comes out clean for you all. So it might be a little bit later than early August, but it's going to be soon. It's right on the horizon. And so hopefully we'll be able to give you something very, very solid by the next stream.
And to just add to what to add to what you just said there, Geoffrey, please know, I want everyone in the audience to know that we're not pulling the release just because we found a bug. We found a bug.
So I think basically we should all be grateful for the very careful and methodical, very thorough QA testers we have on our team, and for the good decision making going on at the top. It's going to be good for all of us.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
we are way over time. Joe.
Okay. All right. So I've already said all the things that I need to say, and thank you so much, everybody. We love you, Geoffrey.